Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. I'm Chris. I'm here with Jeremy.
What's up?
And Brian.
What's going on?
And we have our first details on the PlayStation 5. Mark Cerny, who is like the lead architect of designing the Sony consoles, has done an interview with Wired or I guess it's not really a magazine so much anymore.
It's called Wired Magazine.
Wired. He did an interview with Wired, and he gave some like straight up facts about Sony's quote next console, not the PS5, but is the PS5. We're gonna talk all about what we think about it. But real quick, we are doing a giveaway. All you have to do is sub to the channel. Every 10 subs, we give away a Steam code. We super much appreciate your support. If you have any questions, just shoot a comment down below or hit up our channel page. We have a 1-minute video highlighting everything. All right, guys, so PS5. Apparently it's coming. Definitely not in 2019 is one of the things. Jeremy, you just kind of finished going through the article. Do you have any immediate thoughts?
Okay, so should we like run down what we know first for those who read the article?
You can spark note it.
So I'll do my best. I might forget one or two things. Try and correct me if I'm forgetting. It will still accept physical media. It is not a download only console. It will support 8K. It will have a solid state drive, but Sony claims, or the spokesman, what's the dude's name?
Mark Cerny.
Mark Cerny said that it is faster than any SSD currently available for PCs. That was all he would say, and they did demonstrate it for the reporter there. And a load time that took 15 seconds on the PS4 took
0.8 seconds.
0.8 seconds on the next gen, what they're calling the next gen console. It doesn't sound like it will be super VR focused. They asked about VR. He said that VR was very important to Sony, and that the next gen console would support PSVR that is currently existing. I think these are some of the big things. It's all AMD architecture, obviously new chipset. What am I forgetting?
No, you hit the big points.
Those are the big ones, I think. So, I don't know. It sounds interesting. It sounds pretty much like what I was expecting from Sony, and from really any company that's not Nintendo, which is a progressive evolution of what they've been doing, the same way that a PS2, a PS3, a PS4, was all an evolution of the console that came before it. Each adds on some features. Each, improves, particularly in the graphics department, the memory department, the processing power of the computer. One thing I did forget is they highlighted the use of 3D sound, what they called 3D sound, that it will work through TV speakers. The optimum experience will be through headphones, but that the speakers of the TV will mimic what it's like to be in a 3D space, or to have sound in a 3D space. So all in evolution, pretty much what I was expecting, but sounds cool, sounds robust, sounds expensive.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Well, I want to start with the processor, because that is actually kind of a big deal. And maybe we can all share some thoughts on it. The processor, in the PS4 and Xbox One, they're the same CPU. And that CPU kind of sucks. It is like I believe it's a Jaguar processor. It's basically the thing that is bottlenecking the systems currently. The Ryzen CPU, which is confirmed to be what's in this next console, is a really good CPU. It's very, very good.
We love Ryzen. And
the GPU is going to be Navi, which, to my knowledge, there's no current GPU on Navi, but that will basically it's going to be a huge upgrade, and they already confirmed that it supports real-time ray tracing, which kind of gives you an idea of how powerful the minimum requirement is. So from a power standpoint, it seems like this is a pretty substantial jump.
To me, it sounds more like the jump from PS1 to PS2 or PS2 to PS3, like a significant jump in processing power than the PS3 to the PS4, which seemed a little less robust.
Yeah.
Well, before we get all like, you know, just think about the fact for the second. Like you can emulate a PS2 on a phone.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like, and I think the Ryzen thing is interesting though, because I would have kind of like Intel's always kind of been the biggest dog on campus.
Well, consoles tend to take AMD.
Because I had the same reaction as you, Brian. I thought that was interesting, but Chris had said while I was reading it that apparently that's pretty standard.
But AMD has sucked up until Ryzen.
Hey man, watch your mouth.
Right, and I mean Intel they haven't really done anything special.
Yeah.
Have they?
Not in recent,
so
they're playing catch up to Ryzen basically.
Right, so this might be the beginning of AMD actually, you know, if it's in the console, you know, that's a sell point for their desktop processors that have the Ryzen stuff. So, you know, this might be the beginning of them as a really quite serious competitor to Intel. But, I don't know, beyond that, like, the SSD thing's great, but again, like, Sony has the capability to do that. Sony has the money to throw behind, like, developing a better SSD, and they have a pretty significant stake in that market otherwise, because they make computers as well. And all sorts of other shit that uses high-speed solid-state storage. So, like, I'm impressed by that, but I'm not surprised.
I want to talk about
I agree.
I want to talk about the SSD though, because one, it's been so the hard drives that come stock in your consoles now are 5200 or 54. I can't remember what the number is. 50 something hundred RPM, which is goddamn pitiful in 2019.
That's pretty sad.
Especially because the games now have to stream so much data, and the hard drives physically can't do it. I think, yeah, so on the one hand, we're overdue for SSDs. On the other hand, SSDs are expensive. Like, and games are huge. Red Dead Redemption is 100 gigabytes or more if you get it on the Xbox One. It's like 110 gigabytes. That is, like, I wonder how they're going to handle this. Are we just going to have, like, a pitifully small SSD? Or is the console going to be super fucking expensive?
So let me read from the exact part of the article that talks about the SSD. This is quoting from Wired. At the moment, Sony won't cop to exact details about the SSD, who makes it, whether it utilizes the new PCIe 4.0 standard, but Cerny claims that it has a raw bandwidth higher than any SSD available for PCs. That's not all. Quote, the raw read speed is important, Cerny says, but so are the details of the I/O mechanisms and the software stack that we put on top of them. I got a PlayStation 4 Pro and then I put in an SSD that cost as much as the PS4 Pro. It might be 1/3 faster, as opposed to 19 times faster for the next-gen console, judging from the fast travel demo. So it sounds like it's going to be not a pitiful SSD. It sounds like they're claiming, or they're making it sound like it's going to be pretty cutting edge, which makes me think this is going to be very expensive.
Sounds too good to be true also.
Nothing you just read said anything about hardware. That's what my problem is, and like that's.
Well, they're keeping it close to the chest. This isn't a reveal. They're not revealing anything yet. This is like a teaser.
No, but like when the dude's like, oh, our software, like our management software is so much better. Like, okay, you know, like you're not. It's just an SSD with the Sony stuff on top of it. Like, I don't know.
Also,
they get it right sometimes, but they get it wrong sometimes.
This is the company where you still can't change your PSN name 10 years later.
Hey, man.
And like, we had some Sony digital cameras, and that software was a fucking nightmare to deal with. It was so obtuse. Like, even for Windows XP. Like, it was like, did you guys think about this before you released it? So, like, I'm sure they could come up with something good, but whenever someone's like, oh, yo, we've got these great software tweaks that's going to make everything 19 times faster, like...
No, but that wasn't about software, it was about hardware. He just wasn't saying... He wouldn't confirm what the hardware was.
Was it?
Yeah, he was talking about the SSD specifically, not about the... Not about. It was.
I think if you go back and like he was like, oh, you know, I can put an SSD in my PlayStation, or I can put an SSD with all of our software shit on top of it and get 19 times better performance. Like that's what I took from all that.
No, so that was in reference. I didn't read you that part, but that was in reference to when they played the Spider-Man game on each console, and it took 1/19 of the time on the next gen version versus the PS4 Pro. So they were chalking that up here to the increased power going from the, what was it? How many RPMs?
52 or 5400.
52 or 5400 RPM. Spinning drive, the hard drive, to this new SSD. I think it'll be like in what the new one. What is? I thought it was called M2.
Oh, M.2 is still an SSD.
Yeah, but they're significantly faster even than an SSD. So because I agree with what you were saying, SSDs have been out. They're affordable now. I don't have one in my PC, but I have one for external storage and backups for my Mac. I think you have one, Chris.
I have one on my PC.
But M2 is pretty new. None of us have an M2.
Here's my problem. If there was but what didn't the guy say it went from like I could put an SSD in and it would improve it by a third?
No, 19 times. Oh yeah.
At the end, he was saying he could put an aftermarket.
SSD,
Yeah.
A regular SSD would improve it by a third, and Sony's proprietary software and system improves it 19 times. If there was a way of doing things in software that could make your SSD 19 times faster, don't you think we would know about it?
No, but I think what they were saying is that
it's a combination.
He just put in. He says, I purchased a PlayStation 4 Pro, and then I put in an SSD that cost as much as the PS4 Pro. It's about a third faster. And then the author of the article was saying this new SSD that they're going to have built into the PS5 will be significantly more powerful than even that. So I do see your skepticism. I was pretty skeptical the whole time I was reading the article, but I'm not skeptical here about software. I'm skeptical here about just over-promising.
They have the money to put, like, there could be some hardware tweaks, but like when you come out of the gate talking about software like that, it doesn't give me warm and fuzzy feelings in the pit of my stomach.
Let's move on from the SSD. Let's move into VR. So for one, two things on this. I think it's a great idea that they're keeping the classic PSVR as quote forward compatible, where you can use it on this next Sony console. I think that's a really smart move because at the end of the day, it basically means you can release a PSVR 2 for, more money at the same time keeping that cost of the PSVR down. Like you can get the PSVR cost down to probably under $100 in the next few years. Like by the time the console launches, like you could get a PS5 with a PSVR for only $50 more. They could have a bundle. And at this, if you're like a premium user, if you want to spend the extra $400 or whatever, it basically makes VR very affordable in the long term.
And it also, I think it helps people who might have already purchased the PSVR and are looking to make the jump to PS4. It just helps them make that jump because they know, okay, I can bring this over with me. I always think backwards compatibility from a certain business standpoint. I understand why it's bad practice, but I also think it's very pro-consumer. And I think it probably does help drive sales a little bit. They probably, from a profit standpoint, make out a little worse in the long run, but I'm happy to see it. And they did also say that they would have backwards compatibility with PS4 games, which is pretty cool.
That's the next point I want to talk about. Did you have anything on VR, Brian?
Their VR system isn't like, it's not like the full-on Oculus thing.
It's pretty damn close. I owned one. It's pretty damn close.
Like you can walk around and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's the least powerful of the popular VRs.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I'd say it gets you 90% of the way there for a lot less.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm getting at is that it's not like for Oculus, that's all they do. like, is VR. So they're going to bring like full guns blazing. It seems like Sony's not really. They still see it as more of an accessory.
Yeah, I agree.
Instead of a system itself. But
Well, yeah.
I think that this positions them well. If they want to come out with a dedicated VR system, they could be like, hey, PlayStation 5 is for people that don't want to do VR and want to play super high-def games with the console, not having to mess around with the PC and all that. If you want the VR, we also sell this VR thing that's hardcore.
So yeah,
it leaves them some leeway.
I agree.
They sold 4 million PSVRs, which is way more than any single VR kit out there right now. And Sony's very impressed with that. And I honestly think the PSVR is only going to get better, like the PSVR 1, with a more powerful console. Like, you're going to have less frame rate issues, you're going to have better graphics, you're still going to be using the same hardware. So I think it's a really smart move.
Sony, to me, has been really successful as a company, not chasing trends, but recognizing trends once they've arrived. Which ones are going to be profitable. Like, you didn't have a debacle with Sony like you did with Kinect on the Xbox, because they don't put all their eggs in any basket other than, this is a console, these are the games we make, We're pretty much going to present it to you the same way we've been presenting it to you since 1996 or whatever. And I think that that's continued with the VR. And I agree with Chris. And you. I think this is a good approach.
Just to be a dick, I am going to point out that there was something called Betamax that came out in the mid-1970s that was Sony trying to get on a trend and it didn't really.
But they've won every other war since then.
I mean, in terms of PlayStation,
they won the DVD wars. They won all
Blu-ray. And
I don't even mean winning trends. I mean, like with motion controls. That, to me, that is how I still think about VR. I am maybe the minority that I don't think this is going to be the quote-unquote future of games. I think it's probably more similar to something like where we saw motion controls with the Wii, and then we had it with the Kinect with Xbox, which sucked ass, but Xbox had put so much stock in that it really hurt their brand, whereas PlayStation did have motion controls in their PlayStation 3 controller, but they didn't hype them that much. And then they had another thing called PlayStation Move, which was like apparently also not great, but did exist.
PSVR uses the Move controllers.
Oh, well,
they recycled them.
So there you go. See, they're very like adept at waiting until something has arrived. They roll out something that's very competent, and then I agree. If the sales continue to be strong, they'll be in a good position to, advance upon the technology. If the sales relax a little bit, then they'll still be strongly positioned. They're very, very diligent and deliberate about the way that they kind of interact with these new trends. That's all.
So let's talk backwards compatibility, because I thought that was the most interesting thing, because the PS4 is not at all backwards compatible, and with any system. And they already said PSVR is forward compatible with the PS5. That kind of points that all of those games will exist. They showed the Spider-Man game working.
They said PS4 would be backwards.
And they straight up said it's going to be backwards compatible.
With PS4 games.
To me, so we're in an age of video games where backwards compatible doesn't just mean you play the game. Like with the PS4 Pro, you got a resolution boost, you got a frame rate boost. I wouldn't be surprised if with PS5 you get a resolution boost, like a frame rate boost. Jeremy was saying 8K. Not that we need 8K, but it wouldn't surprise me if PS4 games can play at 8K and PS5 games play at 4K or something. And honestly, for me, if the PS5 is truly 100% backwards compatible and it has boosts, I'll buy it like day one. Like, if I can just buy a PS5 and get Red Dead 2 at 4K on day one, that's
it's a strong argument.
That's the game changer for me.
For the few of us who don't have PS4s, who are video game heads, like, it's a strong argument for, like, look, you're basically getting two consoles.
Two consoles that you're putting at modern, assuming, again, that you're going to be
getting upscale.
You're getting upscale.
Well, and I think that it's listening to the people. Like, if you spend $60 on a video game for your PS4, like, you're not going to run out. You're going to think about running out and buying a PS5. So if you can give backwards compatibility with a little bit of a boost, That's, it's thinking about your peeps who are buying your consoles and making you the money. But what I was thinking is, this is something that just kind of occurred to me, is this might be the console for this generation. Like,
For sure.
The Xbox thing is uninspiring. The Switch is like, it's its own thing, and it's doing very well, but it is very much its own thing.
And it'll also be 3 years old probably by the time the PS5 gets released, if not 4. And it's already, as I said when it was first released, it is significantly underpowered compared to the consoles in this generation, let alone if any of this stuff about the PSVR ends up being true, it'll make the Switch look like a fucking Game Boy.
Yeah, well, but
which is fine, but it is a
like
different. But I'm agreeing with you. It is a different market. It is not there. It is not competing for the same turf.
Well, what's really interesting is that there was nothing in this about like streaming services where you just stream the game from one of Sony's like blades. You know what I mean? Like, I see that as a really big gamble on Microsoft's end with this new generation they're coming out with. Or if this is rumored to be what's coming out, like, it can either work really well or it can fall flat on its face, and I don't really see much room in between. With the way that Sony's doing it,
Tried and true.
It's a console.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's better than the ones that came out before, and that's why you should buy it.
That's Sony.
That's how
tried
they've
and
been
true.
selling consoles for the past 40 years.
100%. That's what I was trying to say before. Like, they don't gamble. Like, they do one thing.
They don't make Wii U's.
They don't make Wii U. They don't make Virtual Boy. They don't make GameCube. Like, they're like, oh, you liked Nintendo Entertainment System? We're going to make a better one every 5 years for the rest of your life. That's what they do. And it's been a successful business model, and that's what I saw in this article about PS5. And I think that they're poised to continue to be successful. I mean, honestly, since PlayStation pretty much came on the scene, they've pretty much dominated.
Yep.
Yep.
PS3 had a rocky start.
PS3 had a bumpy start, but
caught back up.
So did Xbox 360, and that's still a meme.
Well, Xbox 360 had a rocky start, but they sold a lot more than PS3
initially.
Yeah, but like, there's no. Again, when they came out with the picture of the black hole, like, the first thing was people like, "Oh, it's the Red Ring of Death." It's an iconic failure.
Yeah.
The PS3 doesn't even come close to that level of iconic failure.
We're running a little strong on time on this video, but I do want to throw one thing out since we're on the 360.
Yeah, dude.
You want to feel old? The 360 is 15 years old.
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, my 2005 Dodge Neon is 14 years old.
Yeah, it's 2005.
They stopped making those in 05.
It's 2005. Yeah.
Press F down in the comments.
Press F. Press F for your boys.
Press F for all the old boys in the comments.
Yeah. But I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're well covered.
Yeah.
All right.
Brian, send us home.
Send us home? Well, I mean, never mind. Well, if you're hoping to buy one of these new PS5s, or if you're hoping that they're going to call it the PS5000 and get back on that, 1999, 2000 trip when everything was 2000, PS5000 sounds cooler. If you agree, let us know down in the comments. If it gets named PS5000, you'll be a part of that class action lawsuit. You'll get $5. So, it's worth it. And like Chris said at the beginning of the video, if you go ahead and subscribe to our channel, you'll be automatically entered into a chance to win one of several very dank Steam codes, and we do have a veritable shit ton of said dank Steam codes. So go ahead and click that subscribe button, especially if you watch all this way. You like the content, and pretty much all of our videos are like this. So go ahead and click that sub button, and smoke them if you got them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. Catch you guys next time.